Hi, this is Tim Garman for SIT, and we're going to have a look at how to use the pen tool, particularly with a view to putting some power lines into this fire truck image, which is on NZDP 101 assignment C. It's particularly for Z, but any other students wanting to look at how to use the pen tool. And I'm not going to do anything else to this image, first of all. You'll be probably turning it to black and white. You're going to add some colour to it and restore it. So keep that in mind. All I've done is crop it to remove the original frame. So I'm going to just select the pen tool. And first of all, I'm going to click outside of the image. And I'm going to click and hold the mouse button down and drag. And I get this handle. And as you can see, there's 2 points to this handle and they're both linked. So I move one side and the other side moves correspondingly. So I'm going to come over to this telegraph pole where the power line would join. I'm going to click and drag again, and I keep going until I get the desired path, and then I let go. And so here we can see we've got anchor points either end. So that's an anchor point and that's an anchor point. And then we've got these handles as well. Now I can go to my direct selection tool. That's the one with the white arrowhead. Notice when I do that, the whole path has been selected. So I want to click away and then re-click, and I get the handles appear again. And I can adjust where that path falls and edit it so it's just where I want it to be, with the right amount of sag to it. Now notice that I've just got an anchor point at either end. I don't need one in the middle, and if I click away, that gives me a nice smooth curve. Notice it's in blue. Well, it's only in blue because that just indicates where this path is. We have to stroke the path to add a colour to it. So before we do anything else, I've noticed that one or two people have an anchor point in the centre of this path, and some students' paths are not very smooth, and often the reason for that is too many anchor points. You just need one at either end for this particular path. Now, if I go to my pen tool and pass it over the path, you'll notice that you get a little plus sign appear. Now I can click on that path and add an anchor point. And that means if I then go to my direct selection tool, this path is editable even more. We can get lots of different shapes, but of course that's not the shape that we want, but that is one thing that we can do if we wanted to. So I'm going to just remove this and draw it again and just make one more point, click and drag. If I actually drew it with an anchor point in the middle and then went up there, and I'm just going to click away now. Now you'll notice that's not a smooth curve. It's got a bit of a change of direction in the middle, and that's exactly where that anchor point is. And that's really what an anchor point does. It gives you the opportunity to change direction with the path. And obviously we can go ahead and further edit that. But this is not really what we want for this particular path. We want it to be a smooth curve. Now I could go to my pen tool and choose the pen tool with the minus symbol next to it, and go over that, and notice when I mouse over that I get the minus symbol appearing next to the cursor, and it will even do that when I'm on the normal pen tool. If I mouse over an anchor point that's already there, I can remove it. And then I can go and edit the path and get it back to a smooth curve. And that's really what we want. Just to make one or two other points, if I was drawing a much more complex path, and it's not appropriate for this particular job, but if I had a path looking like that, I'd have all those anchor points, and as you click on them with the direct selection tool, you'll see all those handles become available, and you can edit them to your heart's content to get them in the right place. And because those two handles are linked, you get this smooth curve. Now, what if you didn't want that though? What if you wanted a right angle? Well, looking at my keyboard, if I hold the Option key down, I'm on a Mac, but on a PC it'll be the Alt key. If I hold that down and then move the handle, notice then it moves independently from the other handle, and suddenly I've now got a sharp change of direction, or a corner if you like. And that would be, if you wanted to draw something that needed that, that's how you do that. What if you wanted to, or you'd already got that, and maybe you got it by accident. What if you wanted to go back to a smooth curve? Well, go back to the pen tool, choose the Convert Point tool, and just click the anchor point, and you're able to draw, click and drag, you're able to draw out these handles again, and you go back to the smooth curve. So that's really how the pen tool works. The only other thing we can perhaps talk about is we've got what we call an open path there, because it doesn't go anywhere, but we can draw a shape. We could make it any kind of shape. If I just click, I get a straight line. If I click and drag, I get a curve, and when I join up the end point, I get a closed shape. Now, it's worth just pointing out, when I've got a closed shape, if I look at my paths palette over here, and I'll explain a bit more about that in a minute, but the menu enables me to turn that into a selection. If I choose Make Selection, and I can add a feather or a blur to the edge if I want to, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go OK, and notice now that is a selection, an active selection. So I'm going to just switch that selection off, and I'm going to just delete let's choose the Path Selection tool. We'll select the whole thing, and again down here, just leave us with this path that we want. So I can select that. If I choose the Path Selection tool, you notice it selects the whole path. If I choose the Direct Selection tool, click away and reselect, it chooses the path ready to edit. So with the whole path selected, over here on the Paths palette, we notice we get a what's called a work path with a thumbnail, and you can just about see that path is indicated in that little thumbnail. Now, we can go ahead if we want to and save that path and give it a name. Now, the benefit of that is that we can have a number of different paths saved with different names. We can go ahead and edit each one individually. They will all be there if we switch the file off, close it down and reopen it. So that might be useful. I'm not going to do that because I don't particularly need to, but you may find that it's a good idea. So if I want to deselect or deactivate that path, I can click in the Paths palette outside of the actual path and it disappears. But because it's still there as a thumbnail, I can go back and turn it on and then select it. Now, what I want to do is actually add a colour to this path, because when I click there, you'll see there's actually nothing there. There's no colour there. It has no colour. So the first thing I'm going to do is decide what colour it's going to be. And I think I'll choose the eyedropper tool and just select a colour from what's here, bearing in mind that when you edit your image, you'll have a different set of colours. So I'm just going to choose a darker colour, and I've got this appear at the bottom of the Tools palette. The other thing I'm going to do is select the Pencil tool from these options. What that does is it gives me the opportunity to choose a brush size, because that appears in the control strip at the top. So I can choose the brush size, and I've already put 4 pixels in here, but I could make it any width I wanted to. 4 pixels is about right. It's quite a good idea to have some varying thicknesses of power line. The ones that are closer to you are going to be a bit thicker than the ones that are further away. So we can adjust that here. When we've got what we want, and we don't want hardness, or we do want hardness, I should say. We want that up to maximum, so we don't want a soft edge. Now we've got presets down here, but we can play with these settings as well. So we'll increase the hardness to maximum, so there's no soft edge. Then we will reselect the path by clicking on the thumbnail, and we'll just choose the path selection tool, activate that path so it's selected, and we're going to stroke that path by coming to the menu in the paths palette, choosing stroke path. Now if you've got more than one path on your thumbnail and there's one of them selected, that will say stroke subpath, because you've got more than one path there. But in this instance there's only one, so it says stroke path, and we'll choose that. Now it gives me this option to select a number of different functions, different tools for different effects. Sticking with the pencil tool, we'll just go OK, and let's get rid of the blue path indicator just by clicking in there. And then we can see we've got a smooth curve indicating our power line. So I'm going to let you continue with that. You'll obviously want to put in several power lines, some straight. I think there's perhaps one coming down from the lamp that could be straight. 2 or 3, well probably 3 or more up here, and then 3 at least over this side as well. When you go, they want to go behind, or as if they're going behind the tyre on the roof here. So in that instance, draw the whole curve across the tyre, stroke it, and you'll do this on a separate layer so that you can access it and isolate it. If you go across the tyre, switch the path off then by clicking in here once you've stroked the path with the colour, and then just rub out the bit that goes across the tyre. Don't try and draw the path to the tyre and then draw a path on the other side of the tyre, because it just won't look as if it lines up. So just go straight across it on a separate layer and then rub the bit out that goes across the tyre.